Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to AusSpeedruns at PAX 2022. Just real quick while I get the mic on. Beautiful. There we go. We have the next run, which is Metroid Fusion by JRP. JRP, my friend, the floor is yours.
Alrighty. So, ready for the timer?
We are ready to go.
Ooh, just alrighty. 3, 2, 1, and go. So this is Metroid Fusion 100%, and you'll be seeing this a lot. So there's only like so there's 10 minutes of that in the run, but at least they're spread out. So that's that room I call Purgatory because that strat is really difficult to get right, and often or not I will fail it and restart. So right off the bat you're already going off with some tough platforming. So the story is there's been an explosion in the quarantine bay and we have to go investigate. Hi, bye. So you narrow down, we're going to go back over here and then we'll eventually end up going to the operations deck to grab our first major upgrade. So major upgrades don't count towards the item percentage. So as a result you have 10 trillion E-tanks and missiles and power bombs. I think the way they handle it is, well, because you get more E-tanks, we'll just make enemies do more damage to like balance out the health. See, this is quite a long run, particularly for a Metroid game, and it's usually most of it's padding. So like you got 10 minutes of text. I think off the top of my head it's at least 30-40 minutes of doors and text combined. She likes to talk to herself, so we'll just let her be. So unlike other Metroid games, the missile upgrades in this game stack. So this will be the first missile upgrade that we'll be getting. And the dance, okay, so missiles are really annoying at points because you can only have 2 on screen at the same time. And each upgrade you get makes the cooldown longer for your, so each upgrade you get, you fire slower. It will come apparent why that's annoying later. So this game is infamous for being chock full of bad luck. Like there's lots of random elements to it. Like there's 10 idols in the game for every boss, and you can lose like 2 to 12 seconds. Like if the game felt like it. So yeah, this run's infamous for just. I think the way I put it is, it doesn't matter how well you play, like you can play perfectly and you can still not PB because the doors said no. So here's the first one. So I'm going to try a thing called a double. There we go. There you go. So double is hitting 2 missiles on the same frame, so it usually takes 3 rounds for that door, but that took 2 rounds. So yeah, the doubles are used throughout the run to help. It saves a lot of time. Yeah, they help save time. So this is the first boss, Arachmus. So this is the morph ball. So there, see now we can morph through the tunnels and everything. The first 10 minutes of the game are not too hard. But later on, like some bosses require a lot of strategy to do really quick. See, after you kill every boss, a core X will appear. It's like the ball thing with the spikes. And what you want to do is you want to manipulate it so you can do the double missile, where you hit 2 missiles on the same frame that does double damage. So instead of that taking 3 rounds of missiles, it takes 2. So now we're heading off to the sectors down there, and we'll be here for a while. The game locks you in those sections for quite a bit actually. I think not until at least like 35-40 minutes. We'll come back up to main deck. Another thing you should look at is, so if you shoot out of a spin jump, so when you're spinning, it pushes your hitbox down and it makes you land faster. So you can get perfect platforming everywhere, so you'll be seeing that a lot here. Spooky. Doors are hard, okay, trust me. I've been playing a lot of Metroid, doors are impossible. So that's the SAX. There's a few encounters throughout the run, but the majority of the time you're just running past it. Because that's all you can do, just run past it. There's some really cool tricks you can do to get past them. Touching the SAX, I believe, does 500 damage, because yes. I don't know why. So yeah, like touching the SAX, it depends on what category. This category, later on, I'm going to be running through it. Like I'm literally just going to walk into it and then run past it. So this is sector 1. You have to kill all the stabilizers before you can progress. And they have random patterns too. That's the good pattern. See, enemies can either move up or down, left or right. It's random when you enter a room. Yeah, in some rooms you want, like that pattern, so you jumped right, that's what you want. But some enemies like go, do some really bad pattern. In some rooms you can just lose heaps of time. Wow, that's pretty rare. Getting hit more than once in that room is like ultra rare. So that's what I mean, like just enemy patterns are random. You gotta be careful. See, these rooms, you can only lose time in intervals of 3 seconds. Because you gotta wait for the screen to flash red. So you don't have to do these rooms pretty optimal to get the fastest result. Yeah, sometimes that one just likes to jump. Alright, so we're coming up to the next idol, and I'm just going to count all the beams it shoots at me. So it can shoot up to 4 beams before opening its eye. 2. Alright, so that wasn't too bad. Sometimes I get 8 there. That loses 25 seconds. Yeah. So that boss in the manual is called Elephant's Bird because some sort of mistranslation happened. But yeah, that boss gives you Charge Beam, and Charge Beam is stupidly overpowered in this game. Assuming if I can use it correctly. So a lot of this run you will see me holding a charge to quickly kill enemies and clear out rooms. So here's the last stabilizer. Kind of surprised it didn't work. Sometimes like the hitbox on that is really weird and you can't hit the shot right. Because your charge beam is actually 3 parts, so the 2 bits you fire and the flare. So when you fire your beam, you'll see a flare underneath, that does damage. It's important for an upcoming boss that you hit the flare and the other 2 parts on it, otherwise you get an extra cycle. Now we're off to Sector 2. Sector 2 doesn't have the stabilizer, so it'll be a bit more interesting. In Sector 2, we unlock the blue doors and get the bombs and high jump. Now we have more dialogue. So the reason we're playing the Japanese version is because it's 3 minutes faster over English. But in terms of gameplay, there's nothing really different. There is a few glitches patched out, but that's about it. There's one room layout difference though. That's in Sector 4. But for this category, none of those glitches or anything matter. You really only play on English to waste your time. The SAX. So this whole dialogue is all about don't approach the SAX. Run as fast as you can from it. And you'll see later that I don't do that. I'm going to do the opposite. Good bit. So we're off to the level. We're off to the blue doors right now. So that's what I was talking about, the enemy patterns. So if sometimes they're just in your way. So you want to hope you get patterns that don't make you have to stop. And just keep moving. So now we have the blue doors open. So that unlocks the bombs right now. So this is the data room, one of the many data rooms. Every data room you go to, it usually blocks you from going back there. So like there, right now the door is going to be blown up on the right side. Now we're just on our way to high jump, and we're just going to pick up a few items here. And shots. So yeah, you can't infinite bomb jump in this game. You can't also single wall jump in this game. And bombs have a 60 frame timer. And to make sure you can't bomb jump, they don't bounce you in the air. They can technically bounce you, sort of, but like a few pixels, so it's useless. And you have to be holding very specific buttons. I like to call these pancakes. Really deadly in a low percent run. Because like I said, because you get so many E-tanks, the way they balanced health and the enemies was just make the enemies deal 50 million damage. Like those red enemies there deal like 40. So the upcoming boss is Zazabi. And it's a pretty simple fight, just shoot it when it's vulnerable. But it's completely random. See, it's completely random how many times it will jump up. The minimum is 3 wasted jumps, the maximum is 12. So it's very easy to lose heaps of time here. So 1, 2, 3. So it does jumps in 3 phases. So that's the first phase. We did max jumps, which was 3. That's 4. On the last round, it can do a minimum of 2. So we go 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. There you go. Now we have the high jump. It also gives a spring ball. This is spring ball is the only way you can get a bomb jump, but like it's very useless. It's only used, and it has one practical purpose here. This is just a precautionary save. I don't really need it, but like if I don't get this, then we lose all this time. Because what I'm going to do is run past the SAX. I mean, like, quite literally. Nice. See, that's, we call that SAX skip. It's, it doesn't look too bad, but in any percent, it is 15 times harder. Because you don't grab any of the E-tanks. Touching the SAX does like 500 damage, and you have to be so precise with how you jump over it too. So now we're done with Sector 2, which we're going to be heading into Sector 4 now, where we get the speed booster. I'm just going to check the map here. I'm always record. I always want to be careful I didn't forget anything. I didn't forget anything. Good. Sometimes just out of, I don't know why I do it, but I missed the one next to bomb. It usually happens when I switch categories. Yeah, for this run, I'm going to be double checking the map just to make sure that we have collected everything. So yeah, Sector 4 is all water themed. So the boss in it's called Ceres, and if you do it right, you can kill Ceres in about 2 hits. And Ceres gives you the speed booster, which is used throughout the run. So the objective in lower sector 4 is you have to kill series, lower the water via the water pump, and leave. It's a pretty chill sector. It's just go around all the fishies that do millions of damage. Okay, so I'll explain the boss fight. So I was talking about before, your charge shot's made of 3 parts. So the 2 shots you fire and the flare underneath, which just looks for style, but it actually does damage. So if your full charge beam hits, it does 26 damage. And Ceres only has 50 health. So if you can get 2 of those shots in, it does 52 damage. And kill Ceres in 2 hits. There's a reason I call this one of the worst rooms in the game. The crab and the enemies at the top there, it's random where they will be, and you don't want them to be where they just were, because it's literally impossible to get around it. Well, you can, but it's just really difficult. So here's another idol, our best friend. Hey, 0 beams. So this is Ceres. Okay. Usually you don't fall down. Ceres caught me off guard there, it pushed me off. So it was really difficult to get those double setups. The first double I did there was extremely lucky that I got it. See, that's Ceres. If you get 2 full charge shots, it does 52 damage and kills Ceres in 2 hits. So the way Ceres works is it has fixed patterns, like they're predictable, but you don't know which one they're going to do. So you can usually tell by watching what it does first to know where to go. That time I was pretty unfortunate. It gave me several undesirable patterns. So the last shot was random where it could be. So I got pretty lucky there. So now we're off to the water pump. See, it's gonna look like I'm gonna be skipping a bunch of items throughout this run. We usually come get those later in cleanup. Cleanup's where we get the majority of the items in the game. Except for Sector 4, where you clean Sector 4 in 2 visits instead of 3. So at the end of the game, we'll be going through each sector, because each sector has a back door that allows you to enter from the sides rather than the elevator. Right. Yeah, you can only access them through screw attack, so cleanup's best done. Cleanup's usually done right at the end of the run. See, there's like heaps of Sector 4 left. We don't come back here for a while. By the time we get back to Sector 4, we would have done the majority of the game. So now we're off to Sector 3. And Sector 3 we'll be unlocking the green doors and we'll be getting the super missiles. Now super, like I said before, missiles stack in this game. So if you get super missiles, it replaces your old missiles. I mean, you have stronger missiles, but the cooldown is longer. So timing some stuff like the doubles I was doing earlier to get 2 missiles to hit on the same frame is way more difficult. There's only one boss here, so the boss is called Box, and fortunately he's pretty easy. Okay. See, the way Speed Booster works in this game is you have to press down for 2 frames. So the first frame of your down press, well not really down, but like the first frame you release the D-pad, Samus skids. And you can only store the Shine Spark when she skids. That one's really tight. If you press down at the right time, you'll break the speed block but store a Shine Spark and you can spark up this room. So yeah. So when you store a Shine Spark by pressing down after running with the speed booster, you can press jump to make Samus fly in a direction endlessly until she collides with something. So now we have the super missiles. See, that's what I mean. See how I skid there and press down? Allows me to do that. If I had pressed down when I was directly on top, I would have not enough time to get that Shine Spark in. But now we have the super missiles, so they're way stronger than the regular missiles. Like, it's kind of ridiculous. So here's Box. There goes Box. See? So Box is one of those fights. So this fight has no randomness to it. So if you know what you're doing, you can manipulate the fight to your advantage. See, what I was doing was I was jumping inside it and shooting it to make it, to force it to stay on the right side there. because damaging it there the way I did always forces it to shoot the ball, so it will always stay on the right side. So that means when it dies on the right side, it will immediately jump up. So if you kill it on the left side, the box will slowly walk to the right. We fight box later in the run, but it's a way more difficult fight and way more precise than what I just did. So we get to talk to this mysterious figure who is never referred to again. The history of this game. Hi, bye. That person's never referred to again. It's just there and he's gone. So we're off to Sector 6. So Sector 6 is a very dark sector. So like it's to simulate nighttime in that. Usually. So hang on. So in Sector 6 there are Ice X from Sector 5, and they do over 80 damage. And you should be fine. Like the way you go through these rooms, you should be able to avoid them all. See, like that one, you can just shoot them. There's no iframes, by the way. If two of them come inside it, whoop. I'm just gonna be really safe here. There you go. Completely missed that platform. Alright, we're good. I was actually really close to death. That was pretty insane. Yeah. Alright, so here's the SEX again. And all you do is wait. So what you want to do is, if you shoot the SEX, it will immediately retaliate by running towards you. Alright, so coming up is a boss called Mega Rex. So it's basically a mutated Corex. It's a pretty... There's not much strategy to it. You just jump into it until it dies. With your charge beam. Shooting this does nothing, by the way, if you've ever wondered. There you go. That was a pretty good fight. So it's a pretty simple fight. Just jump into it, shoot it, and it dies. So now the double missiles are becoming more difficult because the cooldown's longer. By the time like we get to Ridley, the double missiles are stupidly impossible to do because your cooldown is so long and your shots have to be so precise. So yeah, now we have Vario, the yellow and mustard suit. So now, it's kind of funny, you can go into Sector 5 before Sector 6, but you just take constant damage. And it does knockback too, so you can't even break the speed blocks. So like, it forces you into Sector 6. So yeah, remember, this is one of those rooms where I was saying enemy patterns are random. So these types of rooms, depending on where the enemies are, you can either save time or just lose heaps of time. And there's a lot of that in this game. It's like this room too. So the enemies just get in your way. Ooh. That's the swag strat. You have like a few frames there to press down, so it's pretty tight what I just did there. Alright, so now we're off to Sector 5. And this is so this is the icy sector. It's like a big giant refrigerator. So of course you get the ice missiles there. And ice missiles replace the ice cream from previous games. Which is kind of nice because instead of like every shot freezing everything, your missiles do it now. So you can keep rapid firing your beam, and not freezing enemies, so they won't get in your way. Alright, so now we're entering like the main part, maybe, the main part of Sector 5. This visit of Sector 5 does have some really tedious things you have to do in terms of movement. But it's not too bad. So like, yeah. So we're about to unlock the yellow doors. So we've unlocked 3 already. There's 1 more, but we don't get to that until much later in the run. The level 4 doors. So the only reason we need the yellow doors is to grab the ice missiles in the data room. This data room is one of the few data rooms in this run where you go here twice. Once you grab the power bombs later on from this data room gets destroyed. I don't know if you've ever played this game, but it has really, really well hidden items. Okay. That room is way more difficult than it looks. Sometimes the rippers spawn all the way to the right and you have to wait over 5 seconds for it to come back. It's one of those rooms where if you do the same thing every time, you should get the same result. Sometimes the enemy goes to the right. So this is pretty cool. This is just pretty much all the ice missile tutorials. And we're heading our way back to Sector 3 to start the meltdown sequence. This is actually a pretty great song. It's the only time you hear it. It's kind of sad. So you have 6 minutes to go back to Sector 3, activate the main boiler, and then you're done. 6 minutes though is stupidly lenient. Because we only need like a minute. It's kind of weird, like it is 6 minutes. Like even for like a casual playthrough or first time, that is still an enormous amount of time. So yeah, once we get down here and go to the main boiler, we'll get the wide beam. Little in-joke is that we call the beams food names because they look like food. So you start with the French fry, and then you have the croissant, and the wide beam is the onion rings, plasma beam's the celery, the wave beam is candy. This boss is kind of interesting because in the game's code there's unused graphics and text indicating that this was supposed to be a boss fight, which it isn't. It's just correct. Right. So that is the wide beam there. And the wide beam, instead of shooting 2 bits in front of you, you now have 3 big large pieces of the beam to fire, which is really handy for, because all of them don't do a lot of damage, so like you can quickly kill enemies with it by just running into them. So now we're heading back out to main deck, which is the main starting area, because the game locks you out under the guise of the elevator doesn't work. That's a pretty hard room to do well in. Alrighty. So that's sector 3 done. We don't actually come back here until cleanup. So that's the last one. We'll see sector 3 for a hot minute. So now we have to, it's telling us to go to the habitation deck to investigate. So exciting, this elevator. And then after here we go back to sector 5. And then we go to main deck, sector 2, and then we go back to sector 5. Because we all love sector 5. So yeah, we're gonna be, so you have to come up here to rescue the animals who are trapped up here. There's multiple ways of climbing up this room. I'm doing it this way just out of consistency. You can climb the entirety of that room just with the right wall. It's also random how long it takes them to come out the door. You want them to come out straight away and not run past the door like they just did there. Oh good. I've had runs where they've sat on the left side of the screen for like 10 seconds not moving, and then they just run to the right. I'm like, okay, thanks. So now we get more text about how she's met these creatures before, and it's mostly just like how they taught her the abilities and that. So there's not going to be much bosses for a bit until like we get out of sector 5. Because sector 5 we're going to get the power bombs. And the power bombs make funny whooshy sounds. We all enjoy it. Sector 5. So, a thing about this game, there was a randomizer that came out for it recently. And if you've ever played this game, you know that it's infamous for being linear and locked down in terms of its map design, but they somehow made it work by removing the event system completely and making the whole map open. It's kind of crazy. Alright, so here's the power bombs. In this game, when you pick up an item, there's usually like a forced tutorial it doesn't straight up tell you how to use it. It's sort of subtle tutorials. This is an impossible wall jump. Look, yep. I rarely ever get that. So that's a fake E-tank. It's a beginner's trap. It's kind of funny, they're only immune to missiles. Power bombs do nothing. Here's our best buddy, the SAX. Once again, hello. Fortunately, you can just run past it, no issues. That's weird. So your power bombs now opens up the reactor core in main deck, which fortunately enough is where we need to go. It forces you to go there. The good thing now though is that we're at the point where dying from low health is not a reality anymore. So once you're at like this part of the run, it's pretty much smooth sailing, you just need to play well. So if you've ever struggled with that room in particular, all you need to do is hold left. So this is one of the item puzzles that is littered throughout the run. You would see a lot of those in cleanup, where they require you to do certain things to grab certain items. Alright, so now that we're done with Sector 5, we go back to the main deck and we go straight to the ship. We're going to be fighting a boss called Yakuza coming up. Remember how I said at the start of the run, this run is infamous for having really bad luck involved in it? This is another boss where you can easily just lose 25 seconds because it felt like it. So Yakuza can, when the fight starts, it usually goes around the room a few times. The minimum is once, the max is 4. And you want, ideally, the 1 round. We'll see what I get. My average is like 4 rounds, so I don't have high hopes. So the strategy with Yakuza is you want to intentionally get picked up and then mash the D-pad so it will release you, and this ends the round early and then starts the next round. So you want to do that as many times as possible. Waiting for Yakuza to go around the room to end the round is catastrophically slow. Yeah, so this is the main reactor silo. It's filled with vegetation. So basically what the computer said to do was figure out what's causing the the power outage in the entire ship. Alright, so coming up these Yakuza. So the best the best is one round where it goes around the room once. It's mouse open here, so you can just start immediately shooting it. Round. Huh? 3 rounds. There you go, Yakuza. So now we have the space jump. So space jump lets you continuously jump in the air multiple times. And that lets us access areas that we couldn't access before. Especially in Sector 2, which is where we have to go. So this text is just saying that the auxiliary power is online now, but the main power is offline still. Hello. So yeah, a lot of the SEX encounters in this game is just you running past it while it plays catch up. So this is pretty much like the boss rush portion of the run. There's like boss after boss after boss. Oops. Nice. This is Metroid, one of the hardest bosses in the game. Yeah, there's no strategy to this fight, you just press B and win, pretty much.
While you're pressing B to win, do you mind if I just get a few little messages through?
Yeah, go ahead.
Sure. We've seen quite a few new faces out here. We've also seen some new faces over in Twitch chat as well today. Just a quick friendly reminder, we are AusSpeedruns. We are doing speedrun events to raise money for charity. And today today and this weekend we're raising money for Game on Cancer, a charity that funds early cancer researchers. If you would like to donate, if you're in the Twitch chat, you can type !donate in the chat. Or if you're here in person, you can go to donate.ausspeedruns.com. We've got a whole
Alrighty, so now we're done with Sector 2. We got the Plasma Beam. Now, Plasma Beam's actually weaker than the previous beams, but it can go through enemies, and it does amp damage every frame it's inside an enemy. So it is, even though its base damage is weaker, it is way more powerful than the other beams because of that fact. Alright, so we were just in Sector 5 before, but now it's we're coming up to a boss called Nightmare. And Sector 5 is one of the few sectors where there's a really large room state change. So this whole section's destroyed now. And you just do that all across the room and go bang. Two more items here before we go to the boss fight. So the things to understand about Nightmare is that there's no randomness to it. There's two phases of the boss fight. It's pretty much if you do the same thing every time, you always get the same result. A good indicator you haven't forgotten anything is that that E-tank should start on a blue line. So yeah, Nightmare is the gravity phase, and then there's the non-gravity phase. Alright, that's phase 1 done. Unfortunately, I didn't get the good pattern, so I lost a bit of time there. So, there you go. Now that was Nightmare, which gives us the gravity suit, which lets us move through water without the effects of the water gravity. Lets you also run through lava too. So yeah, Nightmare, if you know what you're doing, is not a terribly hard boss. Once you understand how it behaves, it's pretty easy to manipulate. So this leads back into Sector 4. This is the worst room in the game. It takes everything of what I said about enemy patterns and like triples it. So you got enemies either moving left or right, random when they shoot. Room's really difficult to do fast because it's so unpredictable. So lower sector 4 is where we'll unlock the last door, level 4 doors, which are the red ones. And once we do that, we're pretty much in the end game. So once we leave sector 4, we'll go to sector 6, and then sector 1, and then clean up. So here's the last door. See, the rest of the lower sector 4 is just going to be collecting a bunch of items before we get to the data room. There's quite a few we pick up here. Sector 4 is the only sector where you can pick up every item in 2 visits. So like once I get the fusion missiles, which is next upgrade, I'll be going back left to collect a few items. Upcoming is a strategy that's quite difficult to execute. If I miss it, it's not too bad, I'll just go around. Yeah. It's fine. So what you do is you store a shine spark here, run back, grab this, and then shine spark up. So this is arguably, depending on your point of view, the most useless item in the run. It has its uses in some areas, but overall it's not used much at all. So the fusion missiles do this. This is the last missile upgrade, and you can charge them up to fire the ice particles out of it. So that's the last item in Sector 4, the power bomb tank. Now we just leave. So yeah, now we're heading back to Sector 6 because the computer said we have to eliminate the security robot we faced earlier because it's gone crazy. It's been destroying parts of the sector. So the box fight coming up, it's similar to the previous one. Like, if you know how to manipulate it, there's no randomness to the fight. It can be pretty predictable. What you want to do is fire it in a certain ways that it forces it to jump right. Alright, so here's the boss fight. Right up. Oh no. If you're quick enough, you can get that last missile in and skip the next cycle's rocket spin fight at you. It's really tight. Now we have the wave beam, which lets you shoot through walls. It's actually quite useful in a lot of scenarios.
Warning, no entry without authorization. Warning, no entry without authorization.
So now we're heading to the restricted lab.
No entry.
You only come here, you only go in the restricted lab once. Like, once you come here and leave, it's gone. Well, except for this section. So the next room has a power button. This room. So we're coming back here later to come pick it up. Alrighty, so this is the only SEX you can run into for some reason.
60 seconds to isolation lockdown.
So yeah, the Metroids in that room that are flying around, it's random where they'll be. So if you get knocked back a lot, then you're just unlucky. They give you like a huge knockback for some reason. That's kind of annoying. So this is the first part of the game where Samus actually speaks to the computer. So if you enjoyed that text, here's more text. Alright, so that's the last bit of dialogue, believe it or not, for like the next 25 minutes or something. It's pretty much all gameplay from here on out until right at the end. Alright, so hopefully it doesn't happen. Okay. Sometimes okay, so some of the X there that fly around, they fly to a specific point to spawn an enemy. And sometimes they can orbit the spawn point. So I've had runs where that X has flown to the top there and just endlessly gone in circles. So this is Ridley. What I call funny game loud. Oh, really? So that's Ridley. The trick is to stay to hug the right wall and just wait for Ridley to turn around. So if you run to the left, Ridley just turns around again. So it's just endless back and forth. Alright, so this is the cleanup portion of the run, which isn't chill at all. It's really intense because it's just filled to the brim with really precise stuff you have to do. Oh, what? If you're wondering about the missiles and why I'm shooting missiles everywhere on the doors, it's because I can. There's no particular reason, I just like the sound they make. The missiles have a really satisfying sound in this game. It's like they make the crunch sound. I don't think I will get this. No. So, there's a really tight down press you can do there. It skips these two draw transitions. Yeah, I didn't get the initial setup correct. So I was pretty far left coming into that room from the coming up. I will take a slight precaution. I'm gonna just make sure that I do indeed have everything. You never know. This is not a setting I want to forget something. See, screw attack in this game is stupidly overpowered. Like, it will obliterate everything. Once you're at this point of the game, dying is not even a reality. Alright, so this is one of the hardest tricks in the entire run. You have literal frames to get a jump in. Nice. Alright. Oh yeah. So yeah, when you pause the game, it shows on the HUD there everything you picked up, and if you got a tick, that means you're good. There should be no power bomb up there, so I was a bit confused. So like one quick pause can confirm I've gotten everything. So yeah, cleanup's pretty chill for now. It's like pretty much just going through everything, getting all the items. Not much really happens until maybe sector 6. It's like where all the real fun begins. So we're currently in sector 3. The next sector will be sector 5, then sector 6, and then back to sector 2. Sector 6 has some of the hardest strategies in the entire game, and you have to do 3 of them in a row. So cleanup absolutely requires really good execution. It's also the hardest thing to get down pretty good. So fun fact about that particular item right there, it's the only reason why you can't get 0% of the item expansions and 100% of the map. That is why that category is an impossible feat. Yeah. You can't predict their patterns. You either get hit or you don't get hit. See the 3 ticks, that means we're good to go. Okay. Sometimes you just bonk that corner there. There you go. Free tips. So here's one of the hardest strats in the game. It's one of them. You would not believe like how easy it is to mess that one up. There's many ways you can fail it, and they all will result in like an enormous time loss. The next thing I have to do, I said there was 3 of them, so the next thing is a frame perfect jump off one of the blocks. Back to the restricted mode. It's in this room. You're intended to lure the enemies inside the tunnel and then freeze them with the ice particles from your diffusion missile when you charge that up. But I'm just going to do that. Yeah, so that's a frame perfect trick right there. I've had every time you fail it, you have to loop back around. So I've had some attempts die there. This is the last one. This one's the hardest. That one's really tight. You don't have much frames to re-tap A. So, it's not the worst thing to fail though. You at most maybe lose 5 seconds. So unlike the other one, you have to go back anyway to lay the bombs, so like, you don't lose too much time. Okay. 3 ticks means good. So this is the last sector, sector 2. Hang on, we're gonna do the hardest sector first. Almost made it. Almost didn't make it. Okay, so sector 2. The only hardest thing about sector 2 is right at the end of it, there's a really precise down pressure you have to do that's really easy to miss. called it Crumble City because it's just all crumble blocks. Crumble blocks are if you walk on them, they crumble. Crumble blocks. But the way crumble blocks work is you have, for one frame it considers you standing. So if you press jump on that frame, you'll jump. So that's why I landed on the crumble block and didn't fall. Now it should say, yeah, 3 ticks. We often joke that the power bomb sounds like someone blowing into the microphone, going That room right there, you have to press jump in a very specific rhythm to not fall down the crumble blocks. That room is really tricky if you do not do that. It's almost borderline impossible if you just mash it. So you gotta mash to a very specific rhythm. We came in before and laid a power bomb. That's why it's just a bit faster to do it earlier than now. These are coming up the last 2 items in Sector 2. That's one of the hardest strats in Sector 2 right there. Because like I said, the game considers you standing sometimes when on the crumble block as it breaks. But it's a bit more lenient with Speed Booster. So you have like a few more frames. So if you press down on the crumble blocks, it will store a shine spark. Ticks. Alright. Coming up is the last item we have to pick up. It's right behind a power bomb barrier. What do we get? Yeah, that's 100%. No. So, like I said before, this was a huge section without any text, and the computer was feeling a bit lonely, so now we get 3 or 4 minutes of text right now. How's everyone doing? So yeah, this is just like a big dump of the entire plot right now. The big twists and everything. Alright, so this is end game. So there's 2 bosses we have to fight. One of them is the SAX, and the other is a Mega Metroid. Now, despite the fact that you can technically go to the SAX with Plasma Beam early, because the game says you can only damage the SX with Plasma, the other SAXs you see are technically different enemies and can't be damaged full stop. So usually you can only hit it once, like for one frame, but if you freeze it, it hits it for every frame it's inside it. That's a pretty much a perfect fight. Probably going to do something really silly. If I can pull it off, I'll pull it off. If not, don't worry. Because I only get 1 shot. This is the final boss. Dang. If you, for whatever reason, go to the far right, it will just endlessly bounce up and down. You can run out the timer if you want to. We call it the pogo. It's just like a pogo stick. The hardest boss in the game. He's dead now. And there you go. That's a 250, 74 is 100%. So yeah. Timing ends when Samus faces forward, right now. But yeah, that's Metroid Fusion 100%. Pretty fun game, pretty frustrating game. It's good. I'm glad you enjoyed that run. It had its ups and downs at the end, but it all worked out. And now it's just the credits. Yes. Some technical stuff. Oh yeah, the animal.